The year is 2027, a year that will be remembered in history books, not for its technological advancements or cultural milestones, but for the seeds of conflict that were sown and began to sprout. The world stands on the precipice of a new era, one defined by uncertainty and strife. The world watches with bated breath. Every news broadcast, every headline, every social media post is dissected and analysed. People gather around their screens, their faces etched with worry and fear, as they try to make sense of the chaos unfolding before their eyes. Tensions simmering for years finally boil over. The pressure that has been building up like steam in a sealed pot can no longer be contained. Protests erupt in the streets, clashes between civilians and authorities become a common sight, and the world teeters on the edge of an abyss. In the Middle East, Israel and its neighbours erupt into conflict once again. The region, long a powder keg of political and religious tensions, sees a resurgence of violence. Smoke rises from the ruins of once thriving cities, and the sound of gunfire and explosions becomes the grim soundtrack of daily life. The battle lines are drawn, fueled by decades of animosity. Soldiers take their positions on the front lines, their faces hardened by the harsh realities of war. Barbed wire and military outposts mark the boundaries of contested territories, and the flags of Israel and its neighbouring countries flutter in the desert wind, symbols of a conflict that shows no signs of abating. Meanwhile, the embers of the Russia-Ukraine war reignite, engulfing Eastern Europe in a fiery inferno. Cities that had begun to rebuild are once again reduced to rubble, and the streets become battlegrounds. The conflict spreads like wildfire, consuming everything in its path and leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. The world holds its breath. In homes, offices and public spaces, people pause, their lives momentarily suspended as they await the next piece of news. Anxious faces, hands clasped in tension, reflect the collective fear of a world on the brink. Is this the beginning of something far greater? The question hangs in the air, heavy with foreboding. Ominous clouds gather on the horizon, and the first dominoes begin to fall, setting off a chain reaction that could reshape the global order. The answer, it seems, is a resounding yes. Experts and analysts, politicians and pundits all agree that the world is entering a new and dangerous phase. The dramatic sky, lit up by flashes of lightning, mirrors the turbulent times ahead. Like dominoes falling one after another, nations are drawn into the conflict. Old alliances are tested, new allegiances are formed. The geopolitical landscape shifts, and the balance of power is in flux. Countries that once stood together now find themselves on opposite sides, while former adversaries become unlikely allies. The world divides into two powerful blocs, poised on the brink of a global showdown. Military forces face off, their weapons at the ready, while leaders gather around conference tables, their discussions charged with tension. The stakes are nothing less than the future of the world order. The stakes have never been higher. It's a high-stakes game of poker, with each move carrying potentially catastrophic consequences. The ticking of a time bomb serves as a constant reminder that time is running out, and the intense eyes of those involved reveal the gravity of the situation. The fate of the world hangs in the balance. The globe, hanging by a thread, symbolizes the fragility of the current state of affairs. The scales of justice tip precariously, and the world map engulfed in flames serves as a stark reminder of the potential for widespread devastation. The seeds of conflict have been sown, and the world watches, waiting to see what will grow from them. On one side stands the Capitalist Freedom Frontal, or CFF. This coalition is a formidable alliance of nations that have long championed the principles of democracy and capitalism. Led by the United States and its allies, including the United Kingdom, the European Union, Japan and South Korea, the CFF is a beacon of hope for those who believe in the power of free markets and individual liberties. The CFF champions democracy, free markets, and individual liberty. They believe that through open elections, a free press and the right to protest, societies can thrive and innovate. The stock market trading floors buzz with activity, symbolizing economic freedom and opportunity. Their goal is clear: to contain the spread of authoritarianism and preserve the existing world order. Through strategic military alliances and international diplomacy, they aim to maintain stability and peace. The focus remains on North America and Europe, the heartlands of this ideology. Facing them is the Socialist Fundamentalist Frontal, or SFF. This coalition is equally determined and powerful, with a vision that starkly contrasts with that of the CFF. Spearheaded by China and Russia, the SFF promotes a vision of a multipolar world where power is distributed more evenly across various nations. They are joined by countries like Iran, North Korea, and Venezuela, who share their vision of resisting Western influence. Free from what they perceive as Western dominance, the SFF advocates for a world where no single nation or group of nations can dictate terms to others. They see the current global order as skewed and unjust, and they rally against it with fervor. They advocate for state control, social order, and a return to traditional values. In their view, strong central governance and cultural preservation are key to a stable and prosperous society. State-controlled media and traditional cultural festivals are prominent in their propaganda, emphasizing unity and continuity. The battle lines are drawn. Two ideologies clash. On one side, the CFF with its ideals of freedom and democracy, and on the other, the SFF with its vision of a multipolar world and state control. The world map is divided, and the symbols of these ideologies clash in a struggle for dominance. The world watches, holding its breath. As global news broadcasts relay the latest developments, people everywhere are glued to their screens, aware that the outcome of this ideological battle will shape the future of our world. The globe spins, highlighting the interconnectedness of all continents in this high-stakes conflict. The first salvos are fired not on the battlefield, but in the global economy. In this modern era, wars are no longer confined to physical confrontations. Instead, they often begin in the intricate web of global finance and trade. The SFF, with its centralized control and vast resources, unleashes a wave of economic warfare. This is a calculated move, designed to destabilize their adversaries without a single shot being fired. The SFFF, leveraging its immense economic power, begins to manipulate global markets. They target key industries and commodities, creating artificial shortages and driving up prices. Government officials scramble to respond, holding emergency meetings to devise countermeasures. At large shipping ports, the flow of goods slows to a trickle, and industrial factories face unprecedented disruptions. The ripple effects are felt worldwide as economies struggle to adapt to the new reality. They manipulate currencies, cripple supply chains, and leverage their control over vital resources. The value of currencies fluctuates wildly, causing panic in financial markets. Supermarket shelves, once brimming with goods, now stand empty. Oil refineries, critical to the energy needs of many nations, face sabotage and operational challenges. The SFF's strategy is clear: to weaken their opponents by hitting them where it hurts the most, their economies. The CFF, grappling with internal divisions and economic inequalities, struggles to mount a united front. Political debates in Parliament become increasingly heated as leaders argue over the best course of action. On the streets, protesters voice their frustrations, demanding solutions to the growing crisis. The financial district, once a symbol of stability and prosperity, now stands as a testament to the challenges faced by the CFF. Within the CFF, cracks begin to show. News anchors discuss the unfolding economic crisis, highlighting the vulnerabilities within the alliance. The broken chain link symbolizes the weakening bonds between member states. Unemployment offices become overcrowded as more and more people find themselves out of work. The social fabric of the CFF is under immense strain, and the pressure continues to build. Social unrest grows as the economic pressure mounts. Mass protests erupt in major cities, with people holding signs demanding change. Urban poverty becomes increasingly visible as more families struggle to make ends meet. The once vibrant streets are now filled with despair and anger, as the populace grapples with the harsh realities of economic hardship. Populist movements gain traction, exploiting the uncertainty and fear. Political rallies draw large crowds, as populist leaders promise quick fixes and radical solutions. Social media becomes a battleground, with misinformation and sensationalism spreading like wildfire. The public, desperate for answers, becomes increasingly susceptible to the rhetoric of these movements. The SFF, capitalizing on this discord, uses propaganda and disinformation to sow further division. They launch sophisticated disinformation campaigns on social media, spreading fake news and propaganda. Posters and headlines are designed to incite fear and mistrust, further destabilizing the CFF. The goal is to create an environment of chaos and confusion, making it even harder for the CFF to respond effectively. The invisible war rages on, threatening to unravel the fabric of the CFF from within. Infrastructure begins to crumble as resources are stretched thin. Communities become divided, with neighbors turning against each other. The tug-of-war rope-breaking symbolizes the fracturing of the CFF, as internal strife and external pressures push it to the brink. The stakes are higher than ever, and the outcome remains uncertain. As the SFF tightens its grip on power, a mass exodus of people begins. Millions flee the increasingly authoritarian regimes, seeking refuge in CFF nations for safety. Doctors, scientists, artists, and intellectuals abandon their homelands, fearing persecution and seeking a better future for their children. The influx of refugees strains the resources of CFF countries already grappling with economic hardship and challenges. The situation fuels social tensions, playing into the hands of far-right groups who exploit the crisis to push their nationalist agendas. The world watches as the humanitarian crisis unfolds, a stark reminder of the human cost of this global conflict. Gap 2S. As the conflict escalates, both the CFF and SFF invest heavily in advanced technologies. The battlegrounds shift from traditional warfare to sophisticated high-tech arenas. AI-driven drones crisscross the skies, each equipped with precision targeting systems that can strike with unparalleled accuracy. Cyber warfare becomes a daily reality, with both blocs launching relentless attacks on each other's critical infrastructure. Power grids fail, communication networks crumble, and financial systems teeter on the brink of collapse. Gap 3S, but the stakes don't end there. Space, once the final frontier, becomes a new theater of war. Satellites equipped with space-based weapons patrol the orbits, ready to disable enemy assets or launch devastating strikes from above. The race for technological supremacy intensifies, with each side striving to outdo the other in a bid for dominance. Nations pour billions into research and development, seeking to create the next breakthrough that could tip the scales in their favor. Gap 2S, this relentless pursuit of technology not only fuels the conflict but also drives innovation at an unprecedented pace. New advancements emerge, some with the potential to benefit humanity, while others pose existential threats. Ethical considerations fall by the wayside as the urgency of war overrides caution. The world watches in a mix of awe and dread, aware that the tools of tomorrow could either save or destroy us all. Gap 3S. Amidst this technological arms race, the human cost remains ever present. Soldiers and civilians alike find themselves at the mercy of machines, their fates decided by algorithms and automated systems. The lines between human and machine blur, raising profound questions about the nature of warfare and the future of humanity. Gap 2S. As the conflict rages on, one thing becomes clear: the quest for technological dominance is not just about winning a war, it's about shaping the future of our world for better or for worse. Gap 3S. The stakes have never been higher. The world holds its breath, waiting to see what the next chapter in this global conflict will bring. Gap 2S. Stay tuned as we continue to unravel the complexities of this high-stakes struggle in our next episode. Gap 3S. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more in-depth analyses and updates on the world's most pressing issues. Gap 2S. While the world races towards technological dominance, it is the human cost of this conflict that is most profound. Gap 2S. The toll is felt most acutely by the civilian population. Cities, once bustling with life, now lie in ruins. Streets are empty save for the remnants of daily life scattered amidst the rubble. Families are torn apart, separated by borders, conflict zones, and the ever-present threat of violence. Gap 3S. The global refugee crisis reaches unprecedented levels. Millions are forced to flee their homes, seeking safety in a world that grows increasingly hostile. Camps overflow with displaced persons, each carrying stories of loss, survival, and a desperate hope for peace. Humanitarian organizations struggle to provide aid amidst the chaos, their resources stretched thin as they strive to meet the basic needs of those affected. Gap 2S. In the midst of this turmoil, the resilience of the human spirit shines through. Communities come together to support one another, volunteers work tirelessly, and amidst the despair, there are moments of profound humanity. However, the scars of this conflict run deep, leaving a lasting impact on generations to come. Gap 3S. The human cost of this conflict is a stark reminder of what is truly at stake. Beyond the battles for technological supremacy, it is the lives of ordinary people that hang in the balance. Their stories, their struggles, and their hopes for a better future underscore the urgent need for resolution and peace. Gap 2S. As we continue to explore the complexities of this global conflict, we must not lose sight of the human faces behind the headlines. Their experiences remind us of the profound impact of war and the enduring strength of the human spirit. Gap 3S. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the next chapter of this high-stakes struggle in our upcoming episode. Gap 2S, thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates and in-depth analyses on the world's most pressing issues. Gap 2Es. Amidst the turmoil, there are glimmers of hope. Diplomatic efforts are made to bring the warring factions to the negotiating table. Gap 2S, peace talks are held, but the road to resolution is fraught with challenges and setbacks. Gap 3S. In neutral territories far from the front lines, representatives from the CFF and SFF gather under the auspices of international mediators. These meetings are a testament to the enduring hope for peace, despite the deep-seated animosities and conflicting interests that have driven the factions apart. Gap 2S. The negotiations are tense. Each side presents its demands, often met with resistance and counter-demands. Mediators work tirelessly to find common ground, proposing compromises and urging cooperation. Gap 2S. However, the scars of war and mistrust run deep, making every step towards peace a delicate and precarious dance. Gap 3S. Amid the negotiations, there are moments of breakthrough. Agreements on humanitarian corridors, ceasefires, and the exchange of prisoners provide glimpses of what a peaceful resolution might look like. But these moments are often overshadowed by renewed clashes and setbacks, reminding all parties of the fragility of the peace process. Gap 2S. The international community watches closely, offering support and applying pressure where needed. Global leaders make impassioned pleas for peace, emphasizing the dire need to end the conflict and alleviate the suffering of millions. Gap 2S. While the path to lasting peace remains uncertain, the efforts of diplomats, negotiators, and peace advocates underscore the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring hope for a better future. Gap 3S. As we continue to document this high-stakes struggle, the importance of diplomacy and dialogue cannot be overstated. Gap 2S. The journey towards peace is long and arduous, but it is a journey worth taking for the sake of humanity. Gap 3S. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates and in-depth analyses on the world's most pressing issues. Gap 2S. Gap 2S. In this information age, media and propaganda play a crucial role in shaping public perception. Both blocs use media to rally support and demonize the enemy. Gap 2S. The battle for hearts and minds is as fierce as the physical conflict. Gap 3S. On one side, the CFF utilizes state-controlled media to broadcast powerful narratives of heroism and sacrifice, portraying their cause as just and noble. Gap 2S. News channels, social media platforms, and even entertainment are harnessed to create a unified message, reinforcing the legitimacy of their struggle and vilifying the opposition. Gap 2S. On the other side, the SF employs similar tactics, using independent and underground media to counter the CFF's narrative. Gap 2S. They highlight stories of oppression and resistance, aiming to garner international sympathy and support for their cause. Gap 3S. Propaganda becomes a weapon wielded with precision to sway public opinion and morale. Gap 2S. Emotional appeals, sensational headlines, and selective reporting are common strategies, each side striving to dominate the information landscape. Gap 2S. Neutral observers and international media face the challenging task of sifting through biased reports to uncover the truth. Gap 3S. The impact of propaganda extends beyond the battlefield, influencing global perceptions and policy decisions. Gap 2S. As the conflict rages on, the importance of critical thinking and media literacy becomes ever more apparent. Gap 2S. Understanding the power of propaganda is crucial in navigating the complex web of information and disinformation that defines modern warfare. Gap 3S. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates and in-depth analyses on the world's most pressing issues. Gap 2S. Gap 2S. The war takes a heavy toll on the environment. Gap 2S. Industrial pollution, deforestation, and the destruction of natural habitats exacerbate the global ecological crisis. Gap 3S. Factories and military operations release harmful emissions, contaminating air and water sources. Gap 2S. Large-scale deforestation occurs as both sides exploit natural resources to fuel their war efforts, leading to loss of biodiversity and disruption of ecosystems. Gap 3S. The destruction of natural habitats displaces countless species, pushing many to the brink of extinction. Gap 2S. Environmental activists warn of irreversible damage if the conflict continues. Gap 3S. They emphasize the urgent need for sustainable practices and immediate action to mitigate the environmental impact. Gap 2S. The war's ecological footprint is a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of human and environmental health. Gap 2S. Addressing these issues is not just a matter of conservation, but of survival for future generations. Gap 3S. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates and in-depth analyses on the world's most pressing issues. Gap 2S. As the dust settles, the world is left to pick up the pieces. The conflict reshapes the global order, with new power dynamics and alliances emerging. Survivors must navigate a changed world, rebuilding their lives amidst the ruins. Gap 3S, communities come together, finding strength in unity and resilience. Gap 2S, nations once at odds now seek common ground, driven by the shared desire to prevent such devastation from ever occurring again. Gap 3S, in the midst of the rebuilding, stories of hope and perseverance surface. Gap 2S, people from all walks of life contribute to the reconstruction, fostering a sense of global solidarity. Gap 3S, yet the scars of war remain, serving as a somber reminder of the past. Gap 2S, the world has changed, but with change comes the opportunity to create a better future. Gap 3S, thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates and in-depth analyses on the world's most pressing issues. Gap 2S,